In China, there are three very precious trees, one of which has bodyguards, one is insured for 100 million yuan, and one is the only one on Earth. So, what is so special about these three trees? Why are they so precious? In today's video, let's take a look at the stories and origins of these three world-famous trees. 1. Huangshan Greeting Pine, protected by bodyguards. Let's talk about this tree with bodyguards first. It is the iconic landscape of Huangshan Scenic Area. Well, on one of the world's most beautiful mountains stands one of China's most famous trees, a flat-crown evergreen that may be 1,000 years old. The greeting pine is so well known, it even has a bodyguard. That duty falls to Hu Shaochun, the 19th guardian of the pine. I believe that anyone who has traveled to Huangshan Mountain has seen this strangely shaped tree. It has dedicated bodyguards and private doctors. Experts will conduct regular medical examinations for it, and bodyguards will also watch it 24 hours a day to ensure its safety. The name Inca Song or Greeting Pine was first appeared in the article Journey to Huangshan written by Huang Xiaomin in the Qing dynasty. Later, people found that this description was very appropriate, so they continued to use the name of Greeting Pine. In fact, if you look at it from a distance, the Huangshan Greeting Pine looks like it grew out of a stone. The whole tree looks tall and vigorous, and the branches extending from the trunk seem to be reaching out to welcome people here. When we trace the origin of the Greeting Pine, we will find that its ancestor pine family settled down on the earth very early, and there are still more than 500 members. These pine trees like to live on tall mountains and are very resistant to cold and wind. Due to its peculiar shape and age, it has become a symbol of Anhui province. In fact, it can be found everywhere in China, from the majestic Great Hall of the People to stations, docks, hotels, and restaurants, which shows the Chinese people love it. Therefore, this old tree has been cared for by local people, and it has special bodyguards to supervise and take care of it 24 hours a day. So, what is the job of a bodyguard? Is it just to watch the greeting pine and not let tourists come forward to touch it? Well, it's not that simple. Bodyguards have to write a special nursing diary for Greeting Pine every day. The so-called nursing diary is to record the temperature, wind force, and humidity of the location of the Greeting Pine that day, and observe whether there is any problem with the bark, trunk, and leaves of the Greeting Pine. Of course, before tourists arrive, it is also necessary to ensure that nearby protection facilities are also safe. These bodyguards guarding the Greeting Pine are basically on call all day long, and they must be vigilant at all times to prevent wild animals or people with malicious intentions from breaking into the protection circle of the Greeting Pine and destroying it. If there is bad weather, they need to check every half hour. In short, under the protection of several generations of bodyguards, the health of Greeting Pine is still good. If there is too much snow in winter, people will go up the mountain to build a special support frame next to it, so as to reduce the pressure on its branches and avoid being accidentally broken by the snow. After talking about the famous Greeting Pine, let's take a look at another tree that is extremely valuable. You may not have heard of this tree, but you must have heard of the tea related to it. This tree is the mother tree of Dahongpao, or Big Red Robe. 2. Dahongpao mother tree with amazing value. Whether you like tea or not, you should have heard of Wui Mountain Dahongpao, which is known as the king of rock tea and is famous both at home and abroad. Due to the different ages of the tree species, there are certain differences in the quality of the tea produced. There are 6 Dahongpao mother trees growing in Wui Mountain, and the age of the trees is more than 360 years old. Very early on, it was listed as a World Natural and Cultural Heritage as an ancient and famous tree. The price of the tea it produces has always been astonishingly high. For example, at the Wui Mountain Red Robe Festival in 2005, only 20 grams of tea sold for 208,000 yuan. Tea can be sold at such a high price, so the value of the Dahongpao mother tree is self-evident. At the beginning of this century, in order to protect these precious noble trees, the Wui Mountain municipal government also bought insurance for them, with an insured amount of up to 100 million yuan. Later, in consideration of allowing the mother tree of Dahongpao to grow freely in a comfortable environment without interference from people as much as possible, it was decided not to pick it anymore and let it recover. During the last picking, 20 grams of tea leaves were specially sent to the National Museum of China for collection. In fact, in addition to being insured for 100 million yuan, the Dahongpao mother tree also has a special tree bodyguard like the Huangshan Greeting Pine. Researchers who are engaged in tea tree-related research provide special care for it, regularly check its status, screen out unfavorable factors around it, and ensure that it can grow there healthily. Generally speaking, the high value of the mother tree Dahongpao is closely related to the hot sales of Dahongpao tea. However, it should be noted that since it stopped picking in 2006, there are basically no teas produced from these trees on the market, so be careful not to be deceived. Anyone who claims to be produced under the banner of mother tree Dahongpao are basically liars. Of course, if the above two trees became noble trees because of their image, symbol, age, or additional products, then the tree to be mentioned next has become the object of attention entirely because of its rarity. Its name is Putuo Hornbeam. 3. Putuo Hornbeam, the only one on Earth. In the eyes of most people, it is difficult for things like trees to go on the road to extinction, because their survival seems to be easier than that of animals. But in fact, with the change of the environment and the influence of human beings, the life of the tree is not so easy. For example, this Putuo Hornbeam, which is known as the only one on Earth. Its family members have long since disappeared on the Earth, leaving it alone. In terms of biological classification, Putuo Hornbeam belongs to the birch family and deciduous trees. Since it was discovered, there are not many members of its family, and it is only distributed in Putuo Island, Zhoushan City, Zhejiang Province, China. At the end of the 1950s, after China started large-scale deforestation and reclamation, the number of such trees became even smaller, and only one tree remained, growing on the west side of Huiji Temple on Foding Mountain. Because of this, as early as the last century, this tree was included in the list of key protected plants, and it has always been on the verge of extinction. Since there is only one tree left, this tree has become a priority protection, and people not only take care of it, but also study how to let this tree continue to breed with artificial help and expand its population size since the 1980s. At present, people have bred many saplings of Putuo Hornbeam through artificial breeding. It is believed that it will no longer be the only one on Earth soon, and will have new family members. To sum up, these three noble trees in China are in very good condition at present, and under people's unremitting protection and care, they all have a bright future. So, have you ever seen these three trees? Does your country have a world-famous noble tree? Well, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments section. We'll come back as soon as possible and check them, and then we'll give feedback. See you next time.